Greetings, everyone. We will continue with our presentation on design thinking with this next five set of design thinking principles. We've talked about the first five, and we'll continue drawing on this mind map, fill in the next five of the design principles that we'll talk about in this presentation. So let's jump right into it. The first one, or I would say the sixth one after the first five, is design thinking is experimental. In other words, it's about trial and error. One of the key things that happens with design is that you have to test your ideas. You come up with a solution, after you see the problem, you come up with a solution, you test it, see how it works. If it works, fantastic, you can move forward with it. But in most cases, there'll be some issues with it that don't quite work. You come back, you try again, you make another iteration, you try again. You keep testing your solutions as you move forward. That's a key part of design thinking. Design thinking is also prototype driven. Now let's talk about the word prototype. There is a broad range of prototypes that exist in the world. You can make a really low fidelity, simple prototype for a device or a product, or you can make an extremely complex, fully functional prototype. If you take the example of this remote control, right? This remote control is used to forward and back slides. If you make a model for this, just to see what it feels like, what its weight is, this is made out of a piece of wood or a piece of plastic, that might just be a simple prototype. But if you make a fully functional piece with the circuit board inside, with all the buttons functional, it could be a functioning prototype. The key thing is that in the design process, it's important for us to constantly make prototypes just to make sure that we fail early enough and see how can we then move forward. One key thing to keep in mind about failing, this is what Thomas Edison said. And we all know Thomas Edison is one of the most prolific inventors of all time. He said, "I have not failed. I have only found 10,000 ways that don't work." It's only when you find multiple ways by which something does not work is when you can actually move forward and come up with a solution that actually does work in this world. So, prototyping and failing are both important and critical functions of the design thinking process. Design thinking is also collaborative. Very often, the problems that design takes on are complex, they are difficult, and therefore you need to have teams of people working on them. No one individual can often solve these problems, and therefore the team-based approach to design, which involves several hands and several legs, working, walking, trying things out, that is critical to the design process. So having a larger number of people involved means more bodies, more hands, more feet, more brains, and therefore potentially better solutions to the problem. One key thing to keep in mind with the team and with collaboration is that if you have diversity in that team, if you have people from a variety of backgrounds, a variety of disciplines, it gets a lot more interesting and your solution might be a lot more comprehensive. I'll give you an example. So this is a team of students working in a program called Innovation Space at Arizona State University. They're undergraduate seniors, and these students are working on a very complex problem of designing something that will make life easier for an individual who might be in a wheelchair. So we have 5 students in this team, a student from the School of Business, a student from the Design School from Industrial Design, a student from the School of Sustainability, another student from design from the Visual Communication Design or Graphic Design department, and one student from the School of Engineering. So these 5 students worked on a team, and you can see that there are 5 different disciplines represented on this team, and therefore the solution that they came up with not only had a product component, but it was engineered, it was branded and advertised, it had a component of sustainability, and had a business plan as well. So you can see how if you have a comprehensive team, you can have a comprehensive solution to the problem as well. One other thing to keep in mind about design thinking is that it is based on systems, it exists in systems, it's a part of systems. So when any new thing is introduced in the world, it could be a new product, it could be a new highway, it could be a new building, it could be a new city, that does change the rest of the stuff that happens around it. Just like an ecosystem, right? An ecosystem that exists in nature is a network. It's a network of a variety of organisms that interact with each other, but also interact with the environment in which they live. So in this lake ecosystem that you see in this image, you have multiple organisms, you have microbes, you have things that live in the earth, you have things that are in the water, things that are in the sky. So air, water, soil are interacting with all these organisms at multiple scales, and that creates an ecosystem. The same thing applies to the artificial world as well. Just like the natural ecosystems, we have product ecosystems. Any new thing that is introduced into this world becomes a part of that system. And therefore, when you design something new, one of the key components of design thinking is that you imagine and plan for the potential impact of that one thing on the ecosystem. That's another key part of design thinking. So we've talked about 5 key components of design thinking. These make a total of 10 so far, and we'll talk about 5 more. These are: the design thinking is experimental, it's driven by prototypes, it's collaborative, it's inspired by diversity, and it is based on systems. These 5 principles have been applied in this device that you see in front of you on the screen. This is actually a chair that is a new form of a cushion and a seating that sits in a wheelchair. So imagine the wheelchair that exists now very often just has a standard flat back and a flat seat. This is inspired by the kinds of seating that you see in automobiles today. Some unique things about this chair. One is that the cushions that you see in this chair have inflatable air bladders in them. The reason for that is if someone spends 8, 10, 12, 15 hours in a chair, the pressure that exists in the seating position, the pressure that exists on the lower part of the legs, can be very detrimental to the person's health. It can lead to something called pressure sores, the continuous impact or the continuous pressure that the leg has with the seat can lead to these problems. And so what this cushion does is that by inflating and deflating air pockets that are in the cushion, it relieves the pressure and therefore minimizes the problems of having pressure sores. So some principles of design thinking are involved here. So the 5 that we talked about today: design thinking is experimental. The students try different kinds of techniques and try different kinds of solutions before they came up with what is now the final solution. They prototyped. They tried to make things out of cardboard and out of paper to see what this could look like, what it would feel like. They were collaborative. They worked in a team. As you saw, the student team, we have students from product design, graphic design, business, engineering, and sustainability. You can also see it was a diverse team, so it was inspired by diversity. And finally, they realized that this cushion, this seat, is part of a larger ecosystem. They looked at the relationship of the wheelchair to insurance agencies. They looked at the relationship to manufacturing. Of course, they looked at what the user experiences in the wheelchair. So they realized that this is a part of a larger ecosystem as well. So those 5 design principles have been taken into account in the design of this new cushion for wheelchairs that minimizes the problems of pressure sores. I hope you enjoyed learning about these 5 principles of design thinking that we've talked about today. Thank you.